Let's review a very special fragrance, Mr. Fragrance. I've tried this on a couple times. It lasts me forever. It lasts me at least 8 to 10 hours. As far as notes go, we'll start off with orange and lavender on the top notes, transition into a sort of vetiver, the base notes being musk and patchouli. Now I'm going to be honest, when I wore this to work, I did get a couple compliments. If you're someone who likes woody, very aromatic and fresh fragrances, I highly recommend this.
How many fragrances should a man own? This video is going to be talking about the foundations of fragrance collecting. You collect your foundation and then you come to our brand. It's for those guys who are more experienced in the fragrance game and want to elevate their collection. We start off with the first category that we discussed, which is the versatile pick, which is Mr. Fragrant for us, our first release, which is almost completely sold out. Then we're going to release Mr. Romantic, our date night fragrance. Then we're releasing our summertime fragrance and so on. We don't release fragrances unless they are a 10 out of 10. You can always sample our fragrances before you buy a full bottle to see if you agree. When it comes to fragrances, there are two types of guys out there. First of all is the normal guy who doesn't care too much about fragrances. This is going to be 99% of the population, and they just have one fragrance. They got their Lynx Africa that they spray on all times throughout the day. They don't ever need to shower. They're just built differently, and fair enough, I can't relate to these guys. But then there's the 1% of us guys who are absolutely obsessed with fragrances because we love them and we appreciate the art form more than everyone else, which is fine. I think it's fantastic. It's a hobby that we love. From my point of view, for collectors, there are fragrance types that every man must own. These are for serious collectors who want to experience a wide variety of perfumery and have a varied and well-rounded collection. The biggest mistake a lot of fragrance collectors do is that they collect too many fragrances of the same type. They have 8 fragrances that all smell like you're chilling by a swimming pool with a tropical fruity note, and end up having a lot of fragrances that are redundant and gather dust because too many of them are too similar. In this video, we're going to discuss the 5 categories of fragrances that every man should own in their collection if you're a serious fragrance collector, and then the 4 extra categories for those who want to really diversify and elevate their experience in perfumery. Category number 1 is the versatile category. This is your dumb reach fragrance, basically meaning this is your jack of all trades fragrance that you can wear in any season, any occasion, day, nighttime, and when you're sleeping, when you're awake, when you're swimming, when you're eating, when you're flying, I don't know. Basically, it's meant to be very versatile and it's going to be an inoffensive fragrance. You know, it's safe, it's going to be easy to love, but it won't necessarily smell like it's specialized for any one occasion. For beginners, these are fragrances like Versace Dylan Blue, the blue fragrances that make you smell fresh out of the shower, very easy to like. For younger guys, Dylan Blue is a great choice, and if they want to spend a bit more money, YSL Eau de Parfum is better in my opinion, as well as the Eau de Parfum Intense, the new flanker, is actually quite good. Older guys, I recommend either going for Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Blue for an affordable option, or Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum for something more expensive and better quality in my opinion. I'm discussing blue fragrances because they're some of the best beginner fragrances out there. For guys who just want to smell masculine, fresh out of the shower, they're an easy choice, but some of you guys want to smell a bit more unique with their versatile options, so you can go for fragrances like Moschino Toy Boy, which is very unique, very sexy. I love it personally, but you definitely have to try before you buy. It can be polarizing, or you can go for something safer but that's still a bit more unique as well, is something like Chanel's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. Then is the evening category / date night category. This is a fragrance you want to smell a bit more sweet, seductive, inviting, something you wear on a quiet occasion like a nice evening meal out or when you're on a date with that special someone. Generally for beginners, I recommend the safe options of Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum, La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL, or even the original Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male. These are all classics, very safe, easy to love. You can try them all in store. Of course, we're going to spend most of our lives at work or at school, and it's good to have a professional fragrance. These are the kind of fragrances that make you feel like you're a bit more serious, like you're more engaged in work mode. I think it does make a difference. And when you're attending special occasions such as an interview, like a job interview, you want to feel like you smell extra professional, clean, inoffensive. These are the kind of fragrances that are going to be a bit more simple. They're going to focus less on your sex appeal in your fragrance and more on your professionalism and how clean and inoffensive your scent is, and it's going to be usually quieter fragrances, it's not going to be as loud. Safe options at an affordable price is going to be something like Burberry Touch For Men, which is long lasting. I think is good quality for the price you are paying, or you can spend a bit more money and get something a bit more complicated but still professional, masculine, rugged, such as Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver, which is a very simple, clean and smooth vetiver-based fragrance that makes you smell masculine, makes you smell like a CEO boss from the more mature gents out there. Then I think every man should have a loud occasion fragrance. These are occasions like the clubs, parties, festivals, when you know there's going to be a lot of stimuli, there's going to be a lot of things going on. You can get away with louder fragrances that you want to use to grab attention. especially for younger guys who really care about that. They want to grab attention, they want to smell sexy. This is where you're going loud, fun, all out. It's going to match your personality and your vibe in these kind of events. The obvious beginner choice is something like Versace Eros, which I think for beginners is fantastic. It's very easy to love, a simple apple, mint, and vanilla fragrance that I think gets a bit too boring too quickly. I actually think the better alternative nowadays is Azzaro's The Most Wanted. That is my recommendation for an easy clubbing fragrance. And then finally, in the summertime, guys need to wear lighter fragrances. Remember that in the heat, the more heat there is, your fragrance becomes more intense, more sweet. Hence why those wintry, spicy perfumes, such as Spice Bomb, you don't want to wear those in the heat. You're going to kill yourself and kill everyone around you. You're going to basically be like a nuclear explosion of vanilla, which is inappropriate for the summertime. Basically, I'm not a fan of winter perfumes in the summertime. Summertime fragrances are generally lighter, more top notes based, so more focused on citruses. Because these fragrances, they don't necessarily have that much performance in the cold weather, but then they, as I said, they get activated in the heat and work really well. Safe beginner options are things like Versace Pour Homme, or if you want to spend a bit more money, you can go for something like Chanel's Allure Homme Edition Blanche, which I think is one of the best citrus fragrances ever made. Those cover your 5 basic categories. I feel that if you go for each of these categories, you'll have a nice, well-rounded collection for different scenarios. You'll never get bored, and you'll have, you know, your Swiss Army knife toolkit for any occasion. You'll feel like, you know, you're collecting in a more systematic and more thought out way. That's my opinion. You guys may agree or disagree, but most fragrance reviewers use these categories because that is the best way to collect fragrances. Then in my opinion, to really appreciate the art of perfumery, now you're less of a beginner, you want to appreciate certain notes I think are really important, or certain scent families at the very least. In my opinion, every man should own an iris fragrance. Iris is a fragrance note that naturally actually comes from the root of the iris flower. It's not the flower that gives the smell, it's the root. And that's why you'll see interchangeably that the name can be iris or orris, O-R-R-I-S. It comes from the orris root that naturally is extremely expensive. It's one of the most expensive perfume ingredients in the world. Most of the time it's going to be synthetic, but it's a very nice note that kind of gives a almost lipsticky, makeup, powdery effect to a fragrance, and it can be challenging. Hence why I feel like it's good to diversify your nose, really push yourself and learn to love these kind of iris perfumes, because I think they're very good. A very safe iris fragrance is Prada L'Homme. It's a very simple office-based fragrance that is very simple, soapy, iris, powdery, very clean and elegant. It makes it smell very expensive. Actually, it's very good value for money. A more sexy iris fragrance might be something like Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Le Parfum. I still think it's very safe and it's another good introduction to the iris notes. I think every guy should try leather fragrances as well. Leather can be very animalic, smoky, masculine. I think it's a really cool note that will appeal to certain guys. I think it's just something you have to experience just to really appreciate perfumery. If you're really interested in the art form, you got to expand. Obviously, a very safe beginner's choice is going to be something like Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, which just focuses on leather. It just smells like the interior of a really high quality car. Simple, smooth leather perfumery. I think it smells really sexy. It's a nice signature that smells smoky and masculine. Wear it with a nice leather jacket as well. I think it works really well there. A nice sweeter leather fragrance might be something like Man in Black by Bvlgari, which has a bit more of a mature vibe. It's spicy, peppery with boozy rum notes, as well as that leather and vanilla. So sweet, leathery, boozy, and spicy. It smells like the name suggests, a man in black wearing a nice suit. It's a beautiful leather evening fragrance that isn't too difficult to wear as well. Speaking of really expensive ingredients such as iris, I'm also going to recommend that every guy has an oud fragrance. Oud is traditionally associated with the Middle East, but in recent times, Western perfumery is using it more often because, of course, we're realizing just how beautiful it is. A very nice ingredient that is unfortunately becoming more rare because we're cutting down all the trees that produce it. So experience it while you can. 2 really easy beginner oud fragrances. One of them is Tom Ford's Oud Wood. It is the beginner oud scent. That's the one that most guys get introduced to oud by. It's green, sharp, metallic, musky, oud, woody, and it's just very masculine and sexy. It's a sexy signature. It's one of the most popular fragrances for a reason. I do think it's overpriced, honestly. If you want a more affordable experience of the oud notes, again, both of these aren't real oud. I doubt that either one of them are real oud, but the more affordable option is Chopard Oud Malaki, which you can get for a very good price, around £60 at discounters. So look for it online. I think it's a very easy to like, smooth, spicy, warm, intense oud now. So it's more Middle Eastern style. And in fairness to them, I don't think oud is in the note breakdown, but it's still a good representation. It's sort of recreating that oud effect. And there you go, guys. Those are 9 fragrances I think every serious collector should own, because as I said, it's just smart collecting, smart to expand your collection, your diversity, make your collection well-rounded, and expand your nose, challenge yourself. I think it's really good for us to push our comfort levels as much as we can, and really, you know, just don't miss out on these great ideas in perfumery. Perfumes can get reformulated or discontinued very easily nowadays, so it's really good that we appreciate these things while they still exist. Like, for example, as I said, oud is a material that I'm going to see, I predict is going to be less and less natural. It's going to be more and more synthetic replacements of it as we go on. These 9 fragrance types, I think, create such a beautiful foundation for fragrances. What do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? If you're a beginner, do you think you're going to follow the advice from this video? If you're more experienced, do you think this is a solid plan to create a foundation for a collection? How did you create your foundation for your fragrance collecting? Make sure to watch our other video on a similar topic like this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.